Now the point, I think few months ago in Delhi, one Buddhist conference, mainly monk from Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and we visited also. So, after they sort of talk, then in my turn, then I told them, I don't like formality, just informal way. So then I want to ask one question. Religion still relevant to today's world or not? If not, then no need bother, go. So that's big question. Now this question, the material life, material facility, wonderful, particularly northern world, America, and these developed country. Material facility, wonderful. But there is no guarantee. Those people who enjoy material sort of facility, with their mind, mental state, not peace. Too much stress, too much anxiety, and greed, and jealousy, and extreme sort of sense of competition. So, therefore, as I mentioned earlier, the existing our education system very much oriented about material value, as I mentioned earlier. So now we have to pay more attention about our inner value. As I already mentioned, basic human nature is more compassionate. That's the basis of our hope. If basic human nature is more anger, then no hope. But basic human nature is more compassionate. And logically, we are a social animal. Even other animal, those social animals, emotionally, it's something which brings together. Because each individual's life or survival depends on the rest of the community. That's nature. So, nature provide us, we also usually have this sort of warm-heartedness, taking care of each other. So that's fundamental thing. Therefore, all major religious tradition, I usually say telling, all these major religious tradition is the human being's religion. Therefore, all major religious tradition carry the message of love. And in order to practice love effectively, also need tolerance, forgiveness. So all these major religious traditions teach us compassion and tolerance, forgiveness, self-discipline, contentment. So now, when I think materialistic sort of education, modern education start, at that time, I think religious group carry the responsibility about our moral ethics or compassion, these things. Now gradually, the religious influence sometimes little bit of decline. So then separate developed the separate sort of education institution alone now should carry the both responsibility about brain development and responsibility of development of warm-heartedness. So therefore, the education field, I think we should include, as I mentioned earlier, simply hygiene of emotion, very important. Then how to tackle our emotion, not faith, reasoning. Now some, as I already mentioned, scientists also now, they say. So therefore, in our education field, from kindergarten up to university level, I think the education about inner world, emotion, how to tackle emotion, as a part of academic subject, not a religious subject. I think that's very possible. Now in India, we already, you see, making effort and some program already. India, I think, of course, I respect all religions. Logically, I totally dedicated promotion of religious harmony. So therefore, I must respect all different religious traditions. I always say, I never state, I say Buddhism is best, I never state. Like medicine, one medicine, no matter how sort of powerful, how useful, we cannot say this is best medicine. Whether best or good or bad, judging the patient regarding a particular case, patient, certain illness, including age and climate also. Then accordingly, your case, this medicine is best. Similarly, over 1,000 years, among humanity, different mental dispositions there. So, according to different mental disposition, you see there is some idea, some religious tradition more effective, more suitable. Some may not. Therefore, I think on this planet, firstly, India, I think among the Egyptian civilization, Chinese civilization, the Central Valley, Indus Valley civilization, eventually the Indus Valley civilization, I think, highly developed. So as I mentioned earlier, in India, over 3,000 years, the interest about our inner world developed. So the practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana, already developed. So Buddha himself, product of these traditions. So India, I think among these ancient civilizations, I think India, I think the most advanced sort of civilization about the inner world. So it is quite easy to tell Indian, you see, we need education about our inner world. In India's case, these knowledge is your own tradition. The modern India just neglected these things. The only question of revival. So in India, now we already have some sort of program, and many, one time, about 150 Vice Chancellor meeting. I was there. I told them, the modern education not adequate to bring happy individual, peaceful individual, I mentioned. So they pay much attention. They also, you see, now carry some sort of preparation, how to revive of these ancient Indian knowledge. Now West, they also tradition, Judeo-Christian background. So, not important to investigate Where is I? Where is self? Just the faith, God, God, God. It is sufficient. Oh, Allah, Allah, Allah. Where is the tradition which have the investigation? Where is self? So sometimes through investigation, sometimes to find wrong perception. From Buddhist viewpoint, the rest of Indian sort of tradition accept Atma is independent, absolute self, not depend on our physical. So that self, you see, no beginning. That self, no beginning. So on that basis, the concept of rebirth automatically comes. And with that, the concept of law of causality, karma, action. Future depends on present action. Positive action, helping someone, any action, verbal action, physical action, which brings some pleasant, happiness, joyful, other, including animal. That action is good karma. Any action creates unhappiness, fear, that action is negative karma. So, these concepts, I think, good. About the soul, the Buddhists say, oh, there is no independent soul, or Atma, there is no Atma. This is a very complicated thing. So in any way, the India, since you see that concept, no creator, so rather self-creation, then all the responsibility relying on one's own shoulder. So training of mind become very important. Whereas Judeo-Christian tradition, mainly faith towards God, like that. So I think, therefore, I think, and the superficial level, I think Eastern religion, Western religion, there are some differences. But basically, all carry same message, as I mentioned earlier, love. I think the Judeo-Christian tradition and also Islam, the concept of creator, oh, very, very powerful, wonderful. The creator, what kind of creator? Infinite love. We all created by that kind of God. So, we all brothers, sisters, are children of one God. That God, infinite love. So, among human beings, killing each other, how can all are children of God, then killing each other? Impossible. We are some children of such Father, infinite love. So we should be more compassionate person. And among human beings, we should develop a sense of brotherhood, sisterhood. Wonderful. So, the Indian tradition, I think 7 billion human beings, you see, previously, some different galaxies. So I think here we two, I may be different galaxies, he may be another galaxies. So we both stranger on this planet. So compare that, I think the creation of God, right? Wonderful. But in the meantime, God, one time, my Indian friend, very, very devoted Indian. So he very seriously asked me, all human beings are creation of God. And then among his creatures, some very mischievous, some very bad people there. Why God creates that? And for me, difficult to answer. Then I told him, oh, firstly, God created hell. So there must be someone who go to hell. Otherwise, no meaning creation of hell. So like that. So therefore, you see, if you go more sort of detail, then you see some difficulties there. So then, self-creation is a very simple answer, like that. Then I think, I think I also briefly mentioned the Jainism, Buddhism, like twin brothers. No creator, except they believe Atma. Buddhists do not believe Atma. So, explanation about Anatma, non-soul theory, no independent self. There are a lot of sort of explanation. Within Buddhism, the major different school of thought, Vivasek, Sodatik, Chittamantra, and then Madhyamaka. So, different sort of the school of thought because of the Anatma, different interpretation about Anatma, like that. So these are quite complicated. So all these different traditions, very helpful to us. To some people, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, much more helpful. Then to some people, Jainism and Buddhism and different sort of tradition, more suitable. So it is up to individual. So the big question, whether religion still require or relevant today, then answer is yes, certainly. If whole world, which materially, as all facilities there, then truly everyone happy, then no need religion. But I think several million human beings, and including here, I think few thousand people, I think each of you, some problem, isn't it? So you see, and also you see, with this physical illness always there, the potential or ultimate seed of illness within this body. And then mentally, emotion is so sophisticated. So even if it's some small event, it sometimes creates a lot of worry. More further investigate, then you may realize, not so serious, like that. Much thing is related with our ignorant mind. So here, controversy is very useful, very important. So my Chinese friend, now actually, I think next month, or after I think 2 months, we are going to have one sort of meeting with quantum physicists. So some, they already, you see, mentioned quantum physics, but some thing the easy the atoms but short
Some of these Chinese quantum physicists has shared with His Holiness that those who are genuinely convinced by the facts of quantum physics, there seems to be, for those scientists, in some of them, less tendency to see things in absolute black and white terms.
That's exactly Nagarjuna stated. Laka Yumu Namdole, Teda Jewelry, said, Jabati, Denzing Joe, Digital Susunova, so Teda Jewelry said, Chimi Yig Namdo, Jewelry Choice. My Akasa, Laka Yumu Namdo said, Chimi Yig Namdo. Chimi Yig Namdo, Denzing Joe Jones. I tell you, quantum physics 다시도 그냥 유진이 여러 시설들이 파쇄지들이 실루시 강한 유진이 좀 민주스 사실.
So this really resonates quite closely, an insight that comes from the 2nd century Buddhist master Nagarjuna, who talked about how if you examine carefully the way in which very strong emotions arise in us, these emotions are often rooted in some kind of mental projections that we have about the reality that we experience. And these projections themselves are rooted in some kind of grasping at objective reality of things being out there. So similarly, in quantum physics, when you delve deeply into the understanding and insights of quantum physics, you get to a point where you cannot really point to anything that is being objectively real. So you can only take into account the perceiver's point of view, and the idea of objective external reality becomes untenable. So there's a very similar kind of insights coming from the two sides. So, in fact, delving deeper into this Buddhist understanding of human emotions and psychology, in one of Nagarjuna's texts, he also says that...
The same text.
In the same text, he says, citing the Buddha, Nagarjuna says that the Buddha has taught that humans experience emotion primarily in 3 different modalities: one of attraction leading to attachment, one of repulsion leading to aversions and so on, and then one of more of an indifference. And these 3 types of emotions arises from our natural tendency towards likes and dislikes.
So, I respect all religion. I never propagate in the West Buddha Dharma. I think 2 years ago, I think Strasbourg, some local Buddhist center, they asked me some teaching. Then I give some teaching, explanation. In the hall, I think about 8,000 people. Then I felt, well, this is not a Buddhist country. This is Judeo-Christian background. So I feel a little uncomfortable. So you see, your tradition, Judeo-Christian background, it's better to keep your own tradition.
Sometimes if you do need to patch up a little bit, then you can take bits and pieces from the Buddhist tradition.
So therefore, I respect all religion, but as far as
so from the point of view, purely from the point of view of philosophy and the philosophical insights, then Buddhist tradition seems to be quite profound.
Rich. Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, not Pali tradition. Pali tradition, wonderful, but not much reasoning, based on Buddha's quotation. The Sanskrit tradition, even Buddha's own word investigate. So it is quite remarkable. So therefore, now today's world, a lot of problem, mainly mental problem, mentally unhappy, too much stress. Then even small things, really, you see, they create a lot of emotions. So therefore, today's world, Now I think these emotion, fear, and then anxiety, these brings anger. Anger creates a lot of problem. So the medicine of anger is loving kindness. Loving kindness, part of human nature. So through education, through use human intelligence, usefulness about these positive emotion, and harmfulness about these negative emotion, through education, then from childhood, eventually, you see, can be person who, you see, through reasoning, more closer towards compassion, towards warm-heartedness, and a little bit of distance from anger. That I think through education, we have this marvelous brain. If there is God, I think one greatest God's sort of gift to a human being is this brain. So warm-heartedness, seed of warm-heartedness there. Now the other animal also you see have same. Other social animal, same. But this human brain, human intelligence is something unique. Now this intelligence use for further strengthening our warm-heartedness through education, not through prayer, but through education. I believe that can be done as a secular way. I must explain the meaning of secular. In the West, some of my friends, they say secular means disrespect religion, distance from religion. But according to the Indian tradition, secular means respect all religions and also respect non-believer. That's wonderful. So according to Indian concept of secular, I think very fit today's 7 billion human being. Out of 7 billion, 1 billion non-believer. And 6 billion believers also, among them quite mischievous believer also there. It's really unthinkable. Religion itself dividing people, killing. Really very sad. As a man told himself that.
So, when religion turns into another cause for division and killing, then this becomes what in the Tibetan tradition we say medicine has become a poison.
So, and look, now here, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in some of these Muslim areas, Shia, Sunni killing each other. Impossible. Both follower of Allah and follower of Quran, and 5 times each day prayer. But then why? Killing each other. Unthinkable. So I suggest some Indian Muslim. In India, we never heard problem between Shia and Sunni. So Indian Muslim now should be more active to promote closer relation with Shia and Sunni. And then in India, I think one wonderful thing of India is religious harmony. Over 3,000 years, the Sangha philosophy, and with Sangha philosophy, then different branches of Sangha philosophy, Sangha tradition, then Jain tradition, then Buddhist tradition. At the modern time, Sikhism. These traditions are India's homegrown religions. Then from outside, Zoroastrianism come from ancient Parsi. So in Bombay, the Parsi people who follow Zoroastrianism, very small population, less than 100,000. But no fear. They carry their own way of worship, no fear. Among the millions of Christians, millions of Hindus, millions of Muslims, they really live peaceful. So that's India. All major religious traditions live together, respect each other. So that gives me conviction, religious harmony can be developed, can be promoted. So I fully committed promotion of religious harmony. So, therefore, the India, I think, one example. All major religious traditions live together. So it is quite sad. It's a religion itself now causing more problem. Really, very sad, very sad. So then now in Burma, Buddhist country, a wonderful Buddhist country, but those Muslims suffer a lot. So one time, of course, I know Aung San Suu Kyi since many years. So a few occasions I met. I told her, you should do something. Then she explained the situation, difficult situation there. Nowadays, more and more people very critical view about Aung San Suu Kyi. So this is very sad. Now one Buddhist country also now actually create fighting due to different faith. So this, I think, additional problem. We have plenty of other problems. Then religion itself, you see, becoming source of problem. Very unfortunate. If that truly, you see, become it spread, then I think my big question, religion, no relevant in today's world, better without religion. So now, as much problem which we are facing is actually due to differences including nationality and color and also religion. So since many problems, you see, happen due to these differences, so then we have to think more fundamental level. The fundamental level, we all same human being. 7 billion human beings are our human brothers, sisters. On that level, no differences. Emotionally, mentally, physically, we are same. And most important, every 7 billion human beings want happy life, do not want suffering. And everyone have the right to be happy person, happy family. So then, understand that, realize that, how to deliberately create problem to others. No. If someone creates problem for you, you do not feel happy. So,
So, just as the golden rule says, taking your own experience as an example, you should refrain from harming others.
So, I think very important to realize oneness of 7 billion human beings. That we can promote. We can educate people. I think in education field, we should pay more attention about these deeper values. Then, within my lifetime, we will not see as a good result. But after 20 years, 30 years, I think a different world can be seen. So therefore, some also the reasonable, some good work start always not too late. We must start now, mainly in education field. Then there is a real possibility of this 21st century can be century of peace, century of compassion. It's possible. Then our first sort of task, try to demilitarize this world. Firstly, free nuclear weapon, then offensive weapon, then gradually all weapon, I think, should resort. You should eliminate. Then our weapon, which give us from birth, is this one. If you just fight. No, not much danger, isn't it? When I was young, with my elder brother, sometimes I fight. So at that time, my weapon is my nail. Like that. So I think this human intelligence, and also the reality, global warming become very serious, and human population increasing. When I was in 6 days and 7 days, usually we say 6 billion human. Now 7 billion. Some experts say within the end of this century, human population will reach 10 billion. The natural resource now showing limitation. So unless we act according to reality, I think humanity will face a lot of problems. So now, with sense of responsibility here, well-being of several living beings, then use human intelligence. That way, I think there is real hope. Otherwise, I think this century also will be a miserable century. Really? Some question? Oh yes, some questions now. How many questions?
I think we have microphones in the 2 aisles.
If
There are
possible,
there are two microphones standing there.
One
You
microphone
can see
here,
the lights.
one microphone here. Then those questioners, please come.
Please come and ask your questions.
Yes? Oh.
So,
Yeah. Dear Holiness, Dalai Lama, how do we as nations could organize cooperation to reach universal responsibility for better world?
I think firstly, any sort of movement where it start individual person, then you should start compassionate atmosphere within your own home, your own family. Then share your neighbor from one single person, 10 people, one family, 10 family, 100 family, go like that. Like a ripple circle.
Like ripple effects. Ripple effects.
Any sort of change start from individual. Government cannot do much. UN also cannot do much. So therefore, each individual should feel, I have the opportunity make some better, make some contribution, better world, like that. And then sometimes, I think one example, in Europe, the European Union, wonderful. German, French, in the early part of 20th century, killing, war. One my friend, not only friend, but my teacher, the quantum physicist, von Weizsäcker, in 1990s, his own age also now 90s. Once he told me, when he was young, in every French eye, German is their enemy. In German eye, similar. When we talk these things, the 1990s, then he told me, nowadays, that kind of sort of attitude completely changed. French and their neighbor, human brothers. Similarly, Germany. So if European Union not start, then I think the last few decades, I think they are very possible to some fighting, some killing. Because European Union developed, then at least the member state is. So now this spirit should
Extend. Yeah.
extend. Sometimes I usually sort of express the NATO headquarters should shift to Moscow. Then the Russian mentality, some kind of fear. I have been Russia a few times. I noticed in public mind, West is some kind of, you see, threat, source of threat. So that must change. So if you see the NATO headquarters shifted there, and then eventually Russian Federation should join European Union. I think very important. Then Russia geographically bridge west and east, Siberia, eastern. So I think Russia can make, I think, certain contribution. Then some influence in China. I think very important. So then Latin America, some kind of union must have developed. And Africa, whole Africa, too big, but Northern Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, some kind of union, sooner or later, must develop. Otherwise, small country and spend a lot of money for weapons and killing each other. Terrible. Like that. So, you, as a member of the European Union and a small country, I think you can make some significant contribution regarding the promotion of oneness of humanity. Thank you.